Hey, hello friends, welcome to my channel. In this Azure Devops tutorial series, today let's look at an interesting topic called cache in Azure pipeline. So this is a very important and useful topic in Azure pipeline. The reason is because this is one of the most widely used concept and one of the most frequently asked interview question about how do you improve the performance of your pipeline. So when it comes to improving the performance of your pipeline, cache helps you very much. As the name indicates, cache helps you to store the repeated kind of activities in a cache so that you can reuse it in your subsequent activities in your pipeline or in your subsequent run of your pipeline. All right. So in general, okay, caching in Azure DevOps is used to improve the performance and reduce build times by reusing the content from the previous pipeline runs. Okay, so why do you actually need caching in Azure DevOps is because first main thing is faster build and deployment times. Okay, without caching, every pipeline has to reinstall dependencies like npm packages, NuGet packages, pip modules, etc. Okay, which is quite time consuming. So caching comes as a lifesaver. Similarly, caching avoids redundant downloads by restoring previously downloaded packages or compiled artifacts. Okay, so first key reason is faster build and deployment times. Second thing is reduced network bandwidth and costs. Okay, when you do frequent downloads from external sources like npm, NuGet, or pypi, it consumes bandwidth, right? So that's one of the key reasons. And also by caching dependencies, you minimize external downloads, reducing cost, especially important in self-hosted environments or regions with limited bandwidths. Okay, so in these kind of situations also caching becomes very much important. And third thing is it's more consistent builds. Okay, so caching dependencies means less reliance on the availability or state of external package registries. And also it helps you to avoid the flakiness in your builds due to package registry outages or changes, and also you will obviously have more consistent builds. And fourth main reason is you reuse the more compiled outputs. Okay, so for larger projects like compiling code in C++, Java, etc., can be quite slow. So in those kind of situations, caching can be very useful. And caching also allows you to reuse previously compiled objects, if source files haven't changed. In these kind of situations also caching becomes very much interesting. And finally, flexibility with custom caching. Okay, Azure pipeline, it allows custom cache keys based on file hashes, branch, or paths. This means you can cache exactly what you need, like test results, docker layers, or build artifacts. Okay, so let's see few common scenarios where you actually use cache. Okay, first one is installing dependencies. Okay, so as I said earlier, if you wanna install dependencies, right, like node modules or NuGet or pip, so in this kind of situation you can use cache because it saves time and avoids re-downloading the packages. That's number one. Second thing is compiling the large code bases, like you can cache build artifacts or intermediate object files, which actually speeds up your build process. That is number two. Third thing is you can even cache the docker builds, like you can cache the docker layer, which will actually speed up image builds. Okay, that's number three. Next is running tests, like if you can cache test results or downloaded test data. So this helps you to this helps with faster reruns, especially for UI and integration tests and all. So this is another area where you can use cache. And you can use for static analysis or linting tools like tool binaries, or you can so what you cache is you cache tool binaries or result caches on these, so because it avoids reinstalling tools every time. So in these kind of situations also you can use cache. And working with SDKs, right? Okay, so what you can cache is you can cache the installed SDKs like Android SDK, Flutter, etc. Okay, this will actually reduce your setup time in the CI/CD process. All right, so these are a few examples on which you can cache. Okay, um, so what not to cache? Okay, when you know what to cache, you also need to understand what not to cache. Okay, that's also very much important. So what you do not cache is, you do not cache secrets or credentials. Okay, because it it's a security risk, right? So that's why we do not cache it. And logs are temporary files, because it's not reusable. It changes every runs, right? So in those kind of situation, caching becomes overhead. And you do not cache dynamic test outputs, because it can cause flaky behavior in your pipeline. Okay, and the artifacts which you have already published, okay, it's just a redundant activity. So in these kind of situations, you actually do not cache. You do not cache. Okay, so let's look at a very simple example practically, to make you understand how cache actually works in Azure YAML pipeline. Okay, so let's take an example of npm package. Okay, so every time your pipeline runs, it installs all npm packages from scratch. Okay, this can be slow, especially with larger projects. So what if you could reuse previously downloaded packages to save time? That's exactly what caching helps us to do. All right, so let's see a step-by-step implementation of how do you actually cache that npm installation activity in your Azure YAML pipeline. So in order to demonstrate that, let me go to a pipeline. So let me pick up an existing pipeline. Let me pick up this YouTube tutorials, and let me go to edit. So here, and this is a sample YAML which I've used earlier for demonstration purposes. So this is a very simple YAML. Like, I have a job, and I'm performing few simple activities like installing a Python version, running a command line argument, and running a command line argument task to run a simple Python script. Okay, so and finally I'm just running a PowerShell task to run an inline hello world script. Okay, this is a very simple one. Okay, so let's see, or rather let's add a few steps here, or let's add a few tasks which will actually help you understand how the step-by-step process of this caching actually works. All right, so in order to demonstrate that, first I will add a PowerShell task. Okay, what does this PowerShell task do? Okay, so this PowerShell task, with this PowerShell task, I will create a .npm folder at the correct cache location. Okay, so let me write it down and will tell you why we need this. Because if you need to store a cache, you obviously need a path or a folder, right? So that is why you actually need to create that npm structure here first. So I am running a PowerShell task. Okay, and I am giving something called a syntax. Okay, new item item type directory path, and I need to provide my pipeline workspace path. So how do I provide that? So $pipeline dot workspace, and finally I need to add a .npm path to it, and finally I have to force this. Okay, this is just a syntax. Okay, so what it does is it create a .npm folder at the correct cache location. Okay, so finally I can give a display name for better readability under my task runs. Display name can be like, say, create .npm folder. Okay, and yeah, this is the very first step. Okay, and then comes my actual task. So this is the most important one. So under task I will create a cache task. So cache 2 is the most widely used task, so I will add a cache 2, and I need to provide some inputs. So I have inputs. Here comes the key part. Okay, so key npm slash, not slash, pipe delimiter agent dot os and slash v1. This will be the version. Okay, this is like a manual version we actually provide. This will be a version. Don't worry, let me explain this in detail, but let me complete it. Okay, so then we'll have restore keys. Restore keys, you fall back to the restore keys if there is nothing to be identified. Okay, so let me complete this, and npm $agent.os. okay, finally I need to provide the path. What is the path? pipeline.workspace/npm, right? So let me give that from here. All right, so this is the basic structure of the cache task. Okay, let's see line by line to actually understand what's actually happening. Okay, so first I have a key. A key is a unique key that identifies this cache. Okay, so this is the key that I have provided. So I am performing an npm cache activity, right? So I have given a key, and this is an agent level detail, like either you are using what kind of agent, like Windows, Linux, those kind of things also you can provide, but this is a basic syntax. Do not worry about it too much, but this is a key that you provide as part of cache task. Okay, so this is the version for your like it's more like a manual version bump. All right, so this is a key, and then you have a restore key. Restore key is like a fallback key if exact match isn't found. So if you can't find any cache with this key, right, so then it goes to the restore keys, which is like a fallback key if exact match isn't found. Finally, you provide a path where the cache is stored or restored from. Okay, in our case, the .npm is the folder in which the path is the path where cache is actually stored. Okay, this is a very simple demonstration of the cache task, but you actually need to execute in the upcoming or the next pipeline run, right? So we have to provide a script. Actually, let me provide you a script and give you a summary again. So let me add a script, something like this. Script, let me echo setting npm cache directory, something like that. Okay, I'll give some name, okay, just for better readability in our output console. Cache directory. Okay, and then npm config set cache dollar pipeline.workspace npm if global. Okay, so now echo installing npm packages. These are just for better readability. Okay, and finally do a npm install. So this is the actual npm installation activity, right? So in the first run it will take some time because it is still installing, but in the subsequent runs it will take it from the cache. So your entire installation time is completely reduced. Packages. Okay, this is your actual script, right? So now you can understand what actually happens here, isn't it? Now we tell the npm to use our custom cache folder and then install the dependency. Okay, that's an one word definition to demonstrate this particular task. Okay, so let me reiterate this. Okay, this can be a little confusing way in the first time, but it's quite easy once you actually understand how this actually works. First step, okay, we created a custom npm cache folder. All right, so we create a folder in the pipeline workspace where npm can store its cache files. Okay, this folder will later be used for saving and restoring the cache. Okay, that's what we did at the very first step. Okay, next is the cache task. So in the cache task, we use the built-in cache task. We actually use the built-in cache task called cache2 in the pipeline. Okay, this helps us to restore the .npm folder between the builds. Okay, this entire task actually helps us to restore the .npm folder between these builds. Okay, and finally now we are telling the npm to actually use our custom cache folder and then install the dependency. So what it does is it will actually install on your very first run, and in your subsequent runs it will refer to the cache task and perform the installation from your cache, so you don't have to download and do other stuffs again and again. Okay, so that's one of the key reasons we use this particular cache task and script. Okay, one confusing thing is this particular cache task. Okay, as I said earlier, a key is like a unique key that identifies this cache. Okay, this is more like a unique key that identifies the cache, and the restore key is like a fallback key if exact match isn't found. And finally we are providing a path where the cache is stored or restored from. Okay, so this is a very high level demonstration about the cache task. Okay, now let me go ahead and run this. So as I will run this. Okay, now it has started. Okay, so it will take a while for run, so I'm gonna pause it and resume back once the task is completed. Yes, now my pipeline has completed successfully, and you can clearly see all my tasks ran successfully. So I can check out at I can check at each and every tasks. For example, we have written something here, right? Create.npm folder. So here you can see the log to actually understand what we are doing. We created a .npm folder, right, using a PowerShell task. So it created one here successfully. Okay, so this is the very first task that we have provided, and then comes the actual cache task. Under the cache task you can look at the console for detailed information, like what you are actually doing as part of it. Like you provided a key, you provided a restore key and a path and all, right? So those things we will provide. Okay, so if you look at this part, right, so in key we gave 3 parameters kind of thing, right? So one is npm and agent.os and the version 1. This is kind of version. I can change it based on my needs. For example, if I want to retry a different version of cache, I can give it as v2 or v3 or different versions and provide it. Okay, so here if you look at this is now replaced it with windows _nt, because but if you remember in our YAML we gave it as agent.os, because using agent.os as part of this cache key actually ensures compatibility and avoid corruption due to shared caches across OS boundaries. Okay, so like there are few possible values for this agent.os. It can be Windows NT, it can be Linux, it can be Darwin for Mac OS and all. Okay, so that's why based on your agent, those default agent.os your operating system will be taken up. Okay, but this is just a detailed demonstration, but do not worry about all this information for now. Okay, so we provided the key and we provided the restore key as well. See, we have a restore key information here, and we actually provided a path to. All right, so it might be somewhere here. Okay, so this way you can actually look at the console of what is actually happening at each and every cache task. And next come the key part, installing npm packages. So here you can see the npm installation ran very quickly. So here in this situation it's just 5 seconds, but ideally if you download any other dependencies or modules, it may take quite longer. Okay, and in your subsequent runs it might reduce further. So maybe you can try it on your own and see what happens when you try to download different packages or module like npm NuGet, PY/PI like pip related details, or any you can cache test results, or frequently used test data which doesn't change over time and it which remains consistent. So those kind of things you can cache and see how it actually improves your build time. All right, and yeah, so this is how you perform a cache in Azure DevOps YAML pipeline. This is very much important topic. I personally seen a lot of pro Azure DevOps engineers actually use it, but somewhere people in the mid and low level of or beginner level of people do not use this cache. So this is a highly valuable one to improve the performance of Azure DevOps pipeline. So if you are still not using this task, please go ahead and try it. And if you have any queries, please let me know in the comment section. Okay guys, that's all as part of this video. If you like this video, please subscribe and follow my channel. Thank you.